I wasn't expecting anyone that evening. It was past 9, the kind of hour when the world feels half asleep and quiet in a way that makes every small sound feel louder. I was curled up on my couch, wearing the soft cotton pajamas I only wore when I wanted to feel comfortable and invisible. The TV flickered in front of me, some mindless reality show I wasn't really watching. I had just set my phone aside when there was a knock at the door. A firm, clear knock. Not hesitant. Not confused. Just unexpected. My heart paused for a second. At that hour, people usually text before showing up. I pulled my hair behind my ears, tightened the loose robe over my pajamas, and walked toward the door. When I opened it, I froze. It was Ethan, my friend Melissa's stepson. 22. Tall. Lean but strong. A quiet intensity behind his eyes that always made people pay attention. He was the type of guy who didn't talk much, but when he did, everyone listened. And there he was, standing on my porch, hands in his jacket pockets, breath visible in the cold air, looking at me like he wasn't sure if he should be there. "Hey," he said, voice low. "Sorry to show up late." I quietly inhaled. "Ethan, is everything okay?" He exhaled slowly, the kind of breath people release when they've been holding something in for too long. "Yeah. I just didn't want to be home right now." I stepped aside. "Come in." He walked past me, and I tried not to think about how close he was, how different he looked from the last time I'd seen him. More grown. More sure of himself. More aware of everything around him. I shut the door behind him. He glanced toward the TV, smirked a little. "Didn't mean to interrupt your intense reality show marathon." I laughed softly. "Trust me, it's not intense." I wasn't even paying attention. His eyes drifted over me briefly. My loose pajama shirt, the soft robe, my messy hair. Not in a rude way. Just noticing. And something inside me tightened. "Want something to drink?" I asked. "Water's fine." I went to the kitchen, my mind running faster than my steps. Why was he here? Why now? And why did standing near him suddenly make the air heavy? When I handed him the bottle, his fingers brushed mine. Accidental, but electric. He didn't pull away immediately. Neither did I. He sat on the couch, and I took the other end, trying to look casual even though every sense felt awake in a way I hadn't felt in years. "So, wanna tell me why you showed up?" I asked gently. He leaned back, jaw tightening. "My dad and Melissa were arguing again. Loud." He shook his head. I just didn't want to hear it anymore. I felt my chest soften. "I'm sorry. Must be tough." His eyes met mine, steady, sincere. "You're the only person I felt like coming to." That sentence hit deeper than he knew. The room grew quiet. Not uncomfortable. Just filled with something neither of us wanted to name yet. "Do you want to talk about it?" I asked. He shrugged. "Not really. I just wanted some place that didn't feel like chaos. And this place doesn't." I teased. He smiled a little, eyes warming. "No, this place feels calm." For a moment, the only sound was the soft hum of the heater and the faint noise from the TV. Then his gaze drifted to my robe again, and he cleared his throat lightly. "Sorry if I woke you up or disturbed you." "You didn't," I said. "Really? Still, you look comfortable." The way he said it made my pulse skip. I tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. "It's just pajamas." "Yeah," he said quietly, eyes lingering a second too long. "I noticed." I swallowed. This wasn't supposed to feel like this. He was my friend's stepson. Younger. Off limits. A line I never imagined even approaching. But there was something in his eyes, something raw, honest, searching, and it stirred an ache inside me I hadn't felt in a long time. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "You ever feel like you're living around people, but nobody really sees you?" His words were softer now, almost a confession. "All the time," I whispered before I could stop myself. He lifted his head, eyes meeting mine with a kind of understanding that shouldn't have been possible between us. "Yeah," he murmured. "I thought so." Our eyes held a second too long. The air between us felt warmer, heavier, charged. I looked away first, mostly for self-defense. "Do you want to stay here tonight?" I asked quietly. "Just on the couch. I mean, if you don't want to go back." His jaw flexed, relieved. "If that's okay." "It is." He nodded slowly. "Thank you. Really?" "Of course." I stood to grab him a blanket from the hallway closet. But when I came back, he wasn't sitting anymore. He was standing, right in front of me, close enough that I could feel the warmth of his body, close enough that his breath brushed my cheek. The blanket slipped slightly in my hands. He didn't touch me, didn't cross any line, but he looked at me like he was waiting, checking, trying to understand something neither of us had said aloud. "You sure I'm not bothering you?" he asked, voice low. "You're not," I whispered. He nodded slowly, eyes dropping to my lips for half a second. So quick I could have convinced myself I imagined it. But I knew I didn't. And he knew I knew. He took a small step back, exhaling like he'd been holding something in. "I don't want to make things weird," he said quietly. "You're not," I replied, maybe a beat too fast. He managed a small smile. "Okay." He took the blanket from me, fingers brushing mine again, slow, warm, intentional this time. "Good night," he said softly. "Good night, Ethan." He turned toward the couch, and I went to my room, but sleep didn't come. Not when his presence was still in the air. Not when the sound of him settling onto the couch made my heart flutter. Not when I could feel something shifting between us. Quiet, dangerous, impossible to ignore. And when I turned off my lamp, the last thought in my mind was, something changed tonight. And I don't think either of us is ready for what comes next. I didn't know how long we sat like that, hands intertwined, shoulders close, breaths mixing softly in the quiet dark of my living room. The night felt heavier, warmer, almost like it was holding its breath along with us. "Ethan," I whispered at one point, "we should probably just be careful." He nodded slowly. "I know. But that doesn't make this any less real." His honesty made something inside me tremble. We sat in silence for a moment, the kind that speaks louder than words. His thumb brushed against my hand, slow, hesitant, almost nervous. It wasn't a move. It wasn't crossing a line. It was just truth. A truth we could feel but still shouldn't touch. He exhaled shakily. "Can I tell you something without you getting weird?" "Yes," I whispered. I wasn't just running from the argument tonight. He looked at me, voice low and vulnerable. "I came here because every time I think about where I actually feel safe, it's here. With you." My heart ached and warmed all at once. "Ethan, you shouldn't say things like that." "I know." He gave a soft, sad smile. "But I wanted to." We looked at one another for a moment that felt impossibly long. And then slowly, carefully, he leaned his head onto my shoulder. Not in a flirty way. Not in a bold way. Just human. Just someone who needed closeness. And I didn't push him away. My hand rested gently on his arm, almost without thinking. His breath softened, steadying against me like he'd finally found a place to exhale. For a moment, it felt like time wasn't moving at all. Just warmth. Just presence. Just the quiet gravity pulling us closer without asking permission. He whispered, "Do you want me to stop?" I shook my head gently. "No." He relaxed, and the tension in his body melted just enough for me to feel how deeply he needed this moment of calm. After a while, he lifted his head, not leaving my side, just enough to see my face. "Thank you for letting me be here," he said. "For not making me feel crazy." "You're not crazy," I whispered. "You're just overwhelmed." He nodded, eyes drifting down for a second before returning to mine. "I won't forget tonight." Neither would I. But some lines don't need to be crossed to change everything. I stood slowly. "You should try to get some sleep," I said, voice soft, steadying myself. "Yeah," he murmured. "Good night." "Good night, Ethan." As I walked back toward my room, he watched me with an expression that held too many emotions. Care, longing, confusion, and something unspoken we had both silently agreed not to act on. Before I closed my door, I looked back once more. He was still sitting there, blanket around him, eyes lowered, lost in thought. Something had begun between us. Something neither of us fully understood. Something we both felt but didn't dare touch. And yet, it was real. And even if the night ended there, the memory wouldn't. Because sometimes, infidelity doesn't start with a kiss. Sometimes it starts with a look, a moment, a breath shared too closely. Sometimes it starts the exact way ours did. Quiet, dangerous, tender, and unforgettable.